It was a month after Pietra had fallen. A few men dressed like soldiers were standing in Filament, a small village outside Nesatine, the capital of the empire. They were waiting for the train, and it was an hour late. The men could see that things weren't very good in the empire. The village was filled with boarded-up shops and empty homes. The only people outside were those waiting in line for rations. The empire had won the war, but you wouldn't have known it, looking at the despair on the people's faces. The train finally arrived, and the men dressed like soldiers started to board. A woman, angered over rations being cut, got into an argument with one of the military officers. The officer snapped his fingers, and his men dragged the panicking woman away. She pleaded, begging that she didn't want to be a sacrifice. The men watched from the train. It was about to leave. But some things are important. One of the men tossed aside his helmet. He teleported over to the officer and uppercut him with his thunder gauntlets, knocking him out in a single hit. Hugo Wells jumped up on a table. Okay, time to be the hero my people need. Big speech time, I've got this. People of Nesatine! Wrong town. People of near Nesatine, your empire troubles will end soon. The empire will crumble! The gathered crowd, afraid of being seen with the radical, ran away. Hugo shrugged and Dimension doored back onto the train as it pulled away. Evelyn walked out of an alley and stared at the train as it went down the tracks. Her enemies were headed to Nesatine. Perfect. The train was stopped 10 miles outside of Nesatine. And Evelyn and a squad of Empire soldiers searched the train for the party. Hugo and Chester stood in the corner of the car, invisible. Evelyn walked right up to them. Hugo held his breath. Evelyn turned, noticed an open window, and concluded the party had tried to make it on foot. The soldiers left to go search the field. I'm starting to get real sick of her, Graven said, once the party arrived in Nesatine. On cue, they turned the corner and saw Emily Evelyn walking down the street. She waved at them. The party ducked into a theater to hide. Evelyn walked through the rows of the theater as the party hid in the shadows. As they hid, they could see the propaganda film being projected on the screen. The Emperor of Steel has returned, reborn as the Demiurge of Judgment. Emperor Gilderoy was born the seventh son of King Farum, ruler of the Iron Kingdom. The empty tundras of the kingdom forged two types of men. Unstoppable warriors forged by the tundra to be strong, and weak-willed cowards who sit around waiting for someone to come and save them. Unfortunately, King Farum was the latter. 25 years ago, a plague swept through the Iron Kingdom, wiping out 1 in 4 people. Farum begged for help from other countries, instead of doing what any king should have done, taking it by force using the fearsome soldiers of the Iron Horde. All 6 of Gilderoy's brothers were killed by the plague, but Gilderoy was too strong for the disease to claim. He spent 6 weeks in a coma, then rose, stronger than ever. Gilderoy's father survived, but was left too weak to stand. He ruled from his bed, so sickly he could barely move his lips. When he was 20, Gilderoy decided the people of the Iron Kingdom deserved a better ruler. He did what needed to be done, and ended the worthless life of his father. It was Farum's soul Gilderoy used to awaken the Great Tiger in Blitzen on the day his empire was born. Pimmet jumped out from behind a chair and cast Sleep, knocking Evelyn and Emily out. The party knew the other Evelyns would be there soon. They decided to split up. Pimmet and Vixen took Emily to an abandoned factory for interrogation, while Graven and Hugo headed for Hugo's college, Nesatine University, to look for more information on how to destroy the Great Beasts. Sitting in front of the college was a sign announcing that the university would be featuring a presentation from Dr. Heather Edison about the future of the Empire's technology. Heather. That bitch. You know her? She is my arch enemy, the worst person I have ever met. Worse than Gilderoy. Yes! You have of course heard my countless angry rants about Heather's heinous crimes. Those being, she copied my notes when I was a freshman. Come on, let's go to her stupid presentation and laugh at how dumb it is. The duo snuck into the lecture hall. Now, to demonstrate the incredible advancements of my research, I will shatter this mirror and keep the pieces in place mid-air, Heather said. Ha! I'd like to see her do that without time magic or my crystal. Heather pulled out another shard of the time crystal. She threw a hammer through a mirror, and the broken shards of glass stayed suspended in the air. Graven, I think we're going to have to kill her. Okay. Hugo, having immediately abandoned everything he stood for out of jealousy, put on a fake mustache and snuck after Heather as she walked out of the lecture hall. Hello, I am Professor Crumdig. I found your presentation to be fascinating and would like to collaborate with you. Okay, but first I need to ask you about some allegations of plagiarism. Don't worry, all of my research is original. I created it independently of any other researchers after finding the time crystal shard in the desert. What about Hugo Wells? Who? Oh, you mean that terrorist guy who tried to kill the Emperor? I heard he got expelled for not showing up to class for 2 years, and also because of the terrorism stuff. Not that it matters. He was a terrible scientist anyway. Hugo furrowed his brow. Actually, Hugo Wells is a great scientist. For example, he knows how to do this. Hugo used his time crystal to freeze Heather in place. As he considered what to do next, a gunshot rang out. Heather fell over, a hole in her chest. Machna Orm walked towards Heather, ripped her time crystal away, and put it in his jacket pocket. He glanced up at Hugo. God fucking damn it. You again? Why is it always you people? Hugo teleported up to Orm and punched him with a booming blade. Orm caught his arm and flipped Hugo off his feet, slamming him onto the ground. Grabbed Hugo's time crystal and tried to rip it away. I could kill you, but ironically, I don't have the time. Really? Because I have all the time in the world. Hugo grabbed onto his time crystal and, using it as a spellcasting focus, unleashed a pulse wave that blasted Orm away. He grabbed Heather and Misty stepped as far away as he could. Hugo cast Cure Wounds on Heather, closing up her gunshot wound, then ran. Orm chased after him. As Orm burst into the lecture hall, Griffin leaped out and stabbed at him with his sword. The sword stopped 5 centimeters from Orm's neck when he used his time crystal to freeze time. Everything in the college froze except for Orm and Hugo. Orm held his gun to Graven's head. Come out from wherever you're hiding, Artificer. I want to make a deal. Hugo stared the Admiral down. How is the bottom of the ocean? Nostalgic. Give over your shard or the college gets a new paint job. Now, I'm not going to bow to you or to Gilderoy. I don't give a shit about Gilderoy. The Empire experiment has run its course and I'm ready to start again. Explain. Gilderoy, the Empire of Steel, these things were always a means to an end. A way to get the Great Beast under my control. But the Emperor has lost his mind. So, when you give me the time crystal, I am going to use it and leave this shithole timeline. You're from another universe. No, I'm from this universe, just 300 years into its future. How's the future? God awful. In the original timeline, a very stupid little girl set free an ancient god of fire who turned half the planet to ash. To stop him, the gods flooded the world, burying everything under miles of ocean. But I stopped that apocalypse. When I found the time crystal, I experimented on it, enhancing its capabilities. I traveled back hundreds of years so I could kill Odette before she killed millions. Before she could kill you and all of your friends, kill everyone you've ever known. I'm not a bad person. I saved the world. All it took was a little bloodshed. And then after you saved the world, you founded a fascist empire to destroy it again. Nice plan, Chief. Do you think the gods would have just sat idly by while I rewrote history? No. I know that monsters are coming for me. I know that they will kill me and free Prometheus to write the course of history because that is what the gods have demanded. But before they come for me, there is a bubble. Time that I can use to find a way to protect the future I saved. I've spent 20 years searching for a solution, and on this continent, I found it. The Great Beast. Weapons powerful enough to tear rifts in reality. You want to sever this plane from the rest of reality so the gods can't find it. Yes! You understand my vision. If I can bring the Great Beast together, combine them to form the Great Dragon, I can save everyone. Not everyone. Not the tens of thousands you have killed to steal the Great Beast. It's better than millions. Still, you're right. The Empire was a mistake. I needed the beast for precision demolition of space-time, but on his day of judgment, Gilderoy is planning to fuse with the great beast and become a god. Something that will tear all of reality apart. Fortunately, none of this will happen once I go back around again. So, to return to the previous point, hand over the shard. What if I were to take back the Great Beast? Then I could sever the timeline for you. This timeline is imperfect. My mistakes have scarred it. I know, but it's the only world I've ever known, and I don't want to watch my friends get erased from existence. Even if you wanted to sever the timeline, you would have to do it on the Day of Judgment when Gilderoy is at his strongest. That is beyond your capabilities. You're right, can't win, not without your help. Please, Machina, help me save the world. Orm thought about Hugo's words and, for the first time in centuries, decided to trust someone other than himself. Meanwhile, at an abandoned factory, Emily Evelyn was tied up and blindfolded. Vixen opened Chester and pulled out a friend Hugo had messaged via sending spell, Devillian Atano. He got in there by climbing down the Great Ravine into the Honey Cave. Evelyn. Hey babe, how's it going? Has she been harmed? No. Revan wanted to cut her eyes out to keep her from spying on us, but Hugo and Vixen outvoted him. Can you put her to sleep? I have some important news. Aw, but I want to listen. Pimit put her to sleep again, and Vixen put headphones over Evelyn's ears. So, how's your side of the war going? Bad. Morios has surrendered, Pietro is overrun by fiends, and Evelyn's doubles are multiplying as they spread across the country. But there is a small ray of hope. Carvander, that jackass who helped us fight Strongarm, he seized control of the army from Braza. The armies of Pietro and Morios are heading west to join up with him. Maybe the army from Woodwillow too, depending on how things shake out. They're planning to march into the Empire for one final assault. What? Why? Devillian tossed Vixen a hologram communication sending stone thingy. Ask him yourself. Vixen turned the communicator on. Hello, Vixen. It seems you have failed. We're working on things. It is fine. I also made mistakes. I tried to wait until Nirvana was evacuated before blowing the mountain up. I waited too long, and the Empire managed to dig up the Great Crocodile. Now they control all 8 beasts. Soon it will arrive where you are at Nessatine. And then the Day of Judgment comes. Don't worry, it will not be a happy day for the Empire. They have been forced to spread their army thin to guard so much territory. The troops they currently have in the homeland are busy protecting the great beasts, not their people. We will be able to break through their forces and lay siege to Nessatine. You think you can win? Of course not. All of us are going to die. But we can die with meaning. We can't win, but we can scar. We can burn their capital to the ground, make them never forget that we lived. That's horrible. Yes, but it is the only option remaining. No, we aren't doing this. You are not in control right now. You don't have to be so destructive. I have a plan, Hugo said, walking into the factory. Graven and Orem stepped in behind him. Pimit immediately cast Lightning Bolt on Orem. Easy, he's on our side now. More specifically, I am humoring your people plan for survival based on the 1% chance you will succeed. Neat. The Empire isn't going to win. We have a plan to sneak a bomb into the Great Beasts and shred them apart. Your plan won't work. All of the Empire's airships are busy guarding the beasts on Thunder Island. You'll never get close enough to place your bomb. Correction. They're busy at the moment. If we were to create a big enough distraction, we might be able to lead the ships away. What are you suggesting? These Empire fuckers are obsessed with being big macho douchebags. If you lead your armies into battle and challenge them to a final stand, soldier v soldier, they might just go along with it. But if they do that, then a lot of soldiers will die. I do not fear death, Vixen, nor do the men following me. Very well, accept your plan. I will prepare my soldiers and wait for your signal. When the Day of Judgment comes, we will show them how strong us worthless people really are. Carvander hung up. There's one more problem to deal with before the Day of Judgment. Evelyn. If anyone's going to mess up your plan, it's her. If we're going to kill her, we need to do it now. We still don't know where the real Evelyn is. I have an idea! Vixen put his hands on the unconscious Emily's forehead and looked into her mind using the technique taught to him by Mother Silrag. He saw a young girl running away from something. He could feel her fear. He saw the ground break apart beneath her and the girl fall into the astral sea beneath the great ravine. He saw Gilderoy save the girl and push her back to the world she had fallen from. He saw the girl lie there in the cold snow, starving. Then Mother Silrag and a group of monks found her. They raised her, taught her about the great beasts and how they must stay hidden. They taught her their most secret techniques. But the voice of Gilderoy kept whispering in the back of the girl's mind, telling her they were weak, telling her she must be strong. Vixen saw the girl leave the order and form her new church. He saw her meet Gilderoy, a younger Gilderoy, and join his empire. And he saw the present moment. The true Evelyn was sitting in a church graveyard, waiting for the day of judgment to begin. Graven, Hugo, and Vixen rushed to the graveyard. Graven snuck up behind Evelyn, drawing his father's blade. Are you here to kill me? Evelyn asked, high-rolling on perception. That's the plan, unless you have an alternative. You're going to fail, and you are going to die. And for that I am sorry. You aren't leaving here. Go ahead, kill me. It won't save you. Why don't you care? Is that you think you can't die, or are you just a nihilistic asshole? How about nihilistic asshole? God, you're annoying. Graven stabbed her in the heart. Evelyn fell over, dead. Graven pulled off her mask. There were no scars around her eyes. The original Evelyn was dead. I will miss the original body, another Evelyn said, emerging from the shadows. It was old and decrepit, but it was also sentimental to keep it around. Whatever, it's fine. It's not like I was going to take it with me after the Day of Judgment. An army of doubles surrounded the trio. Killing her didn't work. Hugo hit the Evelyns with a mind spike. They winced, but kept approaching. I see your cruelty. That is the true nature of man, for those with power to prey upon the weak. But when the Day of Judgment comes, when the weak are eliminated, there will be no need for the strong to crush their lessers. That is what my master has promised. Vixen tackled a double and tried to mind meld her. Instead of seeing the flashbacks of the Great Ravine forming, all he saw was darkness. I've been doing this for a lot longer than you, Vixen. You can't beat me at my own game. That stunt you pulled earlier, digging through my mind through Emily, I let you in to lure you into this trap. You aren't Evelyn! She's controlling you! This won't work. And even if it could, what are you going to do? Release my domination of hundreds, one at a time, as your friends are slaughtered? Why are you doing this? Because Gilderoy saved you? No, because of what happened before he saved me. Vixen saw another memory. Evelyn grew up in a small village on the border of Pietra and Atavon. During the Great War, her village provided shelter for invading Woodwillow soldiers out of a sense of hospitality. These soldiers left without harming anyone. The next night, they arrived at a second village. They returned away, so the soldiers burned it to the ground. A few weeks later, the Atavon military learned that Evelyn's village had protected their enemies, allowed them to kill innocents. Everyone in the village was hanged, except for Evelyn. She managed to run away, and then she fell into the Great Ravine as it formed. Do you know what I learned that day? There is no good, there is no evil. Cruelty, death, pain, this is the nature of existence. You have fought our armies for so long, and again, you have seen the cruelty is the only way to win. You have seen the kindness is a weakness. Vixen was surrounded by his own memories. Caravander killing Felicity, Graven stabbing Gilderoy, himself killing Strongarm and burning away his soul into nothing. He told himself it was necessary, that Strongarm had it coming. Both of these things were true. It didn't make him feel any better about it. The mind meld broke. The Evelyns pinned Vixen to the ground. Who are you helping by destroying everything? I'm sorry about what happened to your village, but that doesn't give you the right to hurt people. I'm not mad because my home was ravaged. I'm mad that they were weak enough to let that happen to them. When Gilderoy destroys this world and makes a new one, it will be better. A world free of disgusting weakness. It won't be better. It'll be a world of killers. You won't put an end to war. That's fine. I don't want to end war. I want a world where no one dies under the delusion that an alternative exists. Well, I want a world without war and killing. And how will you make this world? What will you do when you defeat Gilderoy? What will happen to his army, to his empire? Will you let them live? Let them hold him as a hero and restart his conquest in 10 years' time? I don't know! But we have to try to be good men. If not, then what is the point of our existence? The point of your pathetic lives is to die. Evelyn put her hand on Vixen. She ripped her way into his mind and unleashed her judgment. She let Vixen's sins burn him from the inside out. Vixen stared up at her. He was fine. Impossible. No one has ever survived my judgment. There is good in this world, and it isn't weakness. The Evelyns let go of Vixen. All of them stared at him. I'm very tired. I've been spread thin for a very long time. I think if I stopped concentrating and holding myself together for just a moment, it would finally fade away like I should have 50 years ago. Vixen crawled to his feet. He hugged Evelyn. Inside you, I saw kindness. I saw mistakes, but beyond them, I saw a man trying to be a good person. I saw something I haven't seen in a very long time. It's okay. You can rest now. Soon, you will have a choice to make. Choose wisely. Evelyn closed her eyes and fainted. All of the Evelyns fainted. Is she... Hugo cast detect thoughts. He nodded. She's gone. From all of them. I don't know if they'll wake up again, but Evelyn's gone. I hope, wherever she is, she finds peace. The party returned to the factory. Overnight, Hugo and Orm made their modifications to the time crystal. Here's how this thing will work. When we place it inside the core of the greatest beast, it will send the beast through time and space. Each atom will be sent to a different point in the quantum manifold between dimensions, where they will be converted to energy, carrying out hyperspecific detonations that will realign our universe within the spatial-temporal planar continuum. Put simply, you're going to teleport the beast to 1,000,000 different points in time, which will tear it apart. Assuming you get the crystal and its detonator in place. That is, I, of course, took the liberty of installing a backup. If Dr. Wells's heart stops beating, the crystal will teleport back to me, allowing me to leave this accursed timeline. You know, if we win, I'd recommend staying with this timeline for a while. We're going to make some interesting changes to it. I have a question. How are we going to get into the Great Beast? I have an idea. So, that merchant guy, McGucket, he's from another timeline, right? I'm sorry, what? Well, maybe he has some advanced tech from that timeline. Like, maybe a pirate decided to retire with her new wife and sold something to McGucket to pay for the ring. I mean, as a hypothetical thing that could have happened at some point. McGucket's truck crashed through the wall. Howdy, folks, I've got this jetpack my friend Pace sold me. Anyone want to buy it? The party made their final preparations. Pimmet, Graven, and Vixen climbed into Chester. Hugo put on the jetpack, grabbed the chest, and took off. Devillion stayed behind to look after Emily. As dawn broke, she opened her eyes. Oh God, I have the worst fucking headache. Emily? Dev? Where are we? And what the hell am I wearing? Devillion hugged her and cried. As he did, the world began to shake. The great crocodile and the great mole crawled across the lake to Thunder Island, where their siblings waited. The great beast glowed as they combined into their original form. A massive dragon carved from dark stone. The Atanos watched as it rose into the sky. They watched as the sky began to crack. The day of judgment had come.